crimson vows. Chapter 1. The Arrow and the Crown. The rain fell like molten silver over the valley, each drop striking the earth as if the heavens themselves wept for the blood spilled below. The clash of steel rang in the canyon, a violent symphony that rose with the battle cries of the Tamira tribe. Beneath the royal banners of Vardhana rode Crown Prince Harshavardhan, storm incarnate, his black stallion slicing through the chaos, his sword a streak of lightning, his commands a rolling thunder. But today, fate would strip him of more than victory. Rage became his sword-arm strength. By the time the dust settled, Som, the heir to their chieftain of the Tamira tribe, lay lifeless at his feet, a victorious offering to a prince's ego. But vengeance was not yet done with him. From the shadows, another arrow flew, finding his chest with vicious precision. The impact drove him to his knees. His blood warm and slick beneath the rain, a figure emerged from the storm, clad in black, a bow still raised, her face veiled. Her voice was low, yet it coiled around his soul like a curse. "O Rajkumar, this is the price you pay for slaying the innocent without seeking the truth. From this day forth, the moon will be your master. Every full moon, you will shed your princely skin and become the very beast you fear, mindless, raging, a monster born of your own sins. You will live to repent until the day you unveil the truth or be consumed by it forever." Her words burned hotter than the wound in his chest. The storm raged on, but inside him, another tempest was born, a darkness that would soon rise with the moon. Chapter 2. The Beast in the Moonlight. The night was still. Too still. Only the soft crackle of the oil lamp and the faraway hoot of an owl broke the silence in the royal bedchamber. Harshavardhan stirred, lashes fluttering against the warm flicker of lamplight. The silk sheet clung to his bare chest, damp with sweat, though the desert air outside was cool. He tried to sit up, but pain lanced through his ribs. The memory of the arrow's cruel kiss. Then came the other memory. A woman's voice, low, mocking, heavy with the scent of rain and revenge. "The moon will be your master." His gaze shifted, almost unwillingly, to the carved lattice window. Beyond it, the silver coin of the full moon hung in the black velvet sky, cold and unblinking. Something inside him stirred at the sight, something primal, clawing, restless. A knock broke the trance. The carved doors creaked open, and she stepped inside. Rajkumari Saundarya, the princess of Mandar, daughter of a king whose treaty had saved Vardhana's borders, and whose daughter had been given to Harshavardhan, not out of love, but as the seal of a political bargain. To him, she was an obligation, a reminder of debts paid in blood and ink. But to her, he knew he was more. Her gold-embroidered dupatta slid from one shoulder, revealing the elegant line of her neck as she crossed the room. Her eyes, dark, earnest, searching, held the kind of devotion he had never asked for. "You're awake," she said softly, placing a brass tray of steaming herbal draughts beside him. "The Hakim say the arrow missed your heart by inches. Lucky for Vardhana, the gods aren't finished with you yet." Her tone was calm, but when she handed him the goblet, her fingers lingered, just enough for him to feel the unspoken longing behind them. The touch sent a sudden heat through him, sharper than the fever. His jaw clenched. This was dangerous heat, the kind that could undo both of them in the wrong moment. "You were staring at the moon," she murmured, as if it were a secret only she had noticed. "You should rest, Rajkumari." His voice came out lower than intended, rough with an edge he didn't want to name. "And leave you alone with whatever hunts you tonight," she said, smiling faintly. "No, Maharaj, I'll stay." The silence in the royal chamber was sharper than any sword. Harshavardhan's breath was ragged. His body thawed like a bow drawn too far. The moonlight slanted through the lattice, splintering across the marble floor in restless silver. Sandaria lingered, her gaze searching his face. "Go." His voice was hoarse, strained. She took a step forward. His eyes, storm-tossed and dangerous, held hers. "Leave, Rajkumari," he said again, the edge in his tone making her flinch. Reluctantly, she turned. Her soft perfume faded with her steps, replaced by the tightening coil of pain inside him. The door shut, and the world narrowed. Harshavardhan staggered to the window, gripping the cold sandstone frame. The pain struck like a viper, sharp, searing, clawing through his abdomen. His knees buckled. A growl, low and inhuman, rumbled in his throat. The moon loomed outside, pulling at something deep within him. His vision blurred, the edges burning crimson. His fingers dug into the floor, as if sheer force could keep the beast at bay. Then, his eyes turned blood red. The urge was rising, drowning thought in hunger. He was just about to lose himself when a shadow swept through the window like a breath of wind and storm. Before he could react, slender but unyielding hands caught him, forcing him back onto the bed. Her grip was firm, but her touch carried a strange heat, a fleeting softness that sent a shiver through his fevered skin. Her veil brushed against his cheek as she bent close, and in that moment, through the haze, he caught the faint scent of sandalwood and night jasmine. "Swallow," she breathed, her voice a low, silken command that curled around him like smoke. His hand shot out, catching hers, not in pain, but in instinct, in defiance of the pull she had on him. In a single, fluid motion, he spun her, caging her between the wall of his body and the unyielding bedpost. The air between them crackled, her scent, jasmine and something darker, seeping into his senses, weakening his resolve. Her attempts to coax him failed at first, his jaw locked in stubborn resistance. But her fingers, deft, persuasive, brushed against his skin, prying past his defenses with a whisper of touch. The cool press of a pill grazed his lips, slipped onto his tongue. The battle was lost. His strength receded. Cool relief spread through him, quenching the fire, but also pulling him into a languid, heavy haze. He fought to keep his eyes open, to see her. Her face was hidden behind a dark mask, but her closeness was intoxicating, an anchor in the chaos. His hand rose, clumsy, reaching for the mask, yearning to see the face behind the voice. Instead, his fingers caught the edge of her dupatta. It slipped, revealing the curve of her shoulder. And there, glowing faintly in the moonlight, was the mark, a trident, etched into her skin, fierce and beautiful. His lips parted, not in anger now, but with an unspoken question. She leaned close, her breath warm against his ear, her tone both warning and promise. Hunt for the truth before you lose it all. For an instant, her gaze met his, an unreadable flicker, but something in it burned with a strange, dangerous pull. Then she was gone, swallowed by shadows, leaving behind only the echo of her touch and the scent of jasmine on his bed, and the memory of the mark that now burned brighter in his mind than the curse in his blood. And then he fainted. Chapter 3. The Scent of Shadows. Next morning, Harshavardhan sat motionless on the edge of his bed, his breath still uneven with the memories of flashing back. Her warm fingers against his skin, in the phantom heat where her hands touched his lips, His hands grazed her shoulders while her dupatta had brushed his hand. His heart ached restless, twined with something far more unsettling than the poison. He closed his eyes and saw the mark, a trident. Sharp, unmistakable. The symbol burned in his mind like it had been seared there. Who was she? How did she know of the curse that no one else dared speak of? And why did her touch feel less like rescue and more like temptation? A soft knock on the door startled him. Yuvraj, it was Soundarya's voice. Hesitant, he didn't answer. Not now. He didn't want her to see the crimson ghost still haunting his eyes. He waited until her footsteps faded, then rose, crossing to the window where she had vanished. Outside, the moon hung heavy, its light spilling over the palace rooftops and into the labyrinth of corridors and courtyards below. Somewhere in that darkness, the masked woman walked away from him, unafraid, unhurried, carrying answers he did not yet have the courage to claim. But the hunt had already begun. His fingers curled into fists. He had her mark. He had her scent. He would find her. And yet, deep in the place where the beast inside him slept uneasily, he knew the truth. It was not just the poison that was dangerous. It was her. Somehow, the woman in the shadows had wrapped herself around his thoughts like moonlight on water, impossible to grasp, impossible to ignore. And Harshavardhan was not a man who surrendered easily. Chapter 4. The Wrong Trail. The days had turned to weeks. Harshavardhan just submerged himself in his courtroom duties and his search to reach the truth to get his freedom started. His messengers rode out with orders wide and large, discreetly backtracking the information that reached Harshavardhan on the fateful days, leading him to the Tamira tribe clash. The only truth that Harshavardhan knew was that he had vowed to eradicate the Tamira tribe in the Eastern Front under the pretext that they were caught with materials instigating epidemic, hinting rebellion. He traced maps until the ink stained his fingers, following whispers that led him deeper into shadows. Finally, a trail emerged. A caravan merchant was caught by the soldiers with forbidden herbs prone to spread epidemic and was prohibited by the kingdom. Further investigation revealed that they have been sold to a veiled warrior in the salt deserts beyond the northern forts in large amount. Harshavardhan rode hard, only to find the truth dissolve like sand through his hands. A dead end, a decoy, someone feeding him ghosts to chase. No, this can't be, he yelled, frustrated, lost, angered and disappointed. Frustration settled in his chest like a stone, and then came the darker blow. His father, King Indravardhan, was ambushed on the royal road. The king's blood stained the dust, and in the palace halls, silk and steel whispered of conspiracy. That night, Harshavardhan sat alone in his chambers, the candlelight flickering over maps and letters, his jaw locked in grim thought. And then the pain. That forbidden pain all of a sudden struck him like lightning. It was full moon today, and he still wasn't even close to the answers he was seeking. Just then, he felt a sudden pain in his chest. His heart rate increased. His breath tightened. Uneasiness started rising in his chest, making his skin burn. He was losing his control on his senses when a sudden crash split the stillness of his chambers. Boots pounded stone, blades hissed from their scabbards, and a dark figure lunged for him. Harshavardhan met steel with steel, his sword clashing hard enough to spark. But even as he fought, another, deeper burn coiled in his blood, hot, electric, maddening. The poison, it was back. This time not with weakness, but with an unbearable, unbidden craving that tore through his control. Two more assassins spilled into the room, only for a new shadow to dart between them. The veiled woman. She moved like a whisper turned to flame, her dagger sliding between ribs, her body twisting away from danger with feline grace. Each move was clean, calculated, merciless. When the last man fell, Harshavardhan was on one knee, breathing hard, not from the fight, but from the heat curling low in his body. His pulse thundering with hunger that had nothing to do with food. She turned to leave. Wait. His voice was rough, darker than he meant. She stopped, her head tilting slightly, as though sensing the shift in him. He stepped forward, his hand closing around her wrist. "You've been following me. You're poisoned," she said, her voice muffled behind the veil. "You need rest." "What I need," he said, his gaze locking on hers, "is you to take off that veil." Her breath caught. Just a flicker, but it was enough. The poison in his blood roared, every nerve screaming to touch, to taste, to claim. His fingers moved to the edge of her veil before she could protest. The silk slipped away, and the world tilted. She was devastating, not just beautiful, something more dangerous. Beauty laced with defiance, with shadows that made him want to know every secret she held. His body leaned before his mind caught up. The pull between them was magnetic, the kind that didn't wait for permission. She should have stepped back. She didn't. When their lips met, the kiss was fire and possession. His hands locking at her waist, her body melting against his for one stolen heartbeat. The poison's curse turned desire into urgency, his pulse hammering so loud he could hear nothing else. And then he felt it. Something small, smooth, bitter, slipping past his lips into his mouth. He pulled back, confusion flickering. Too late. The pill dissolved instantly, cold sliding down his throat. His strength faltered, the fire in his blood turning heavy, drugged. She caught him, lowering him to the floor, her face inches from his, her breath still mingling with his. "You'll hate me for this," she whispered, brushing her fingers across his jaw. "But it's the only way to keep you alive." Her scent, jasmine and steel, was the last thing he knew before darkness dragged him under. Chapter 5. The stranger within. Morning sunlight spilled over the marble courtyards of the royal palace, touching silk banners and glinting off the guard spears. But in Harshavardhan's chambers, light could not chase away the shadows in his mind. He remembered everything. Her touch, her lips, the taste of that kiss laced with betrayal, and her face, now seared into his thoughts, as real as the burn still running in his veins. The doors to the outer court opened with the soft rustle of fabric. A cluster of new palace maids entered, their heads bowed. Harshavardhan barely glanced up until he felt it. That pull, that same silent gravity. She was there. Her veil was gone now, replaced by the simple attire of a palace maid. A silver pitcher balanced in her hands, but her eyes, gods, those eyes were the same, deep as midnight, shadowed with secrets. "Leave us," Harshavardhan ordered the guards without looking away from her. When the hall emptied, he crossed the space between them in slow, deliberate steps. "You," he said, the single word edged with heat. "You walk into my palace as though I wouldn't notice?" Sumaya kept her gaze steady, but he saw the pulse flicker in her throat. "I am here to help you," she replied evenly. "The men who tried to kill you, they are only pieces of a larger trap. I can help you see the full board." His hand came up, catching her chin between his fingers, forcing her eyes to his. "You drugged me. I saved you. You kissed me." Her breath hitched, just barely. "That was necessary. The corner of his mouth curved in a dangerous smile. Necessary? Shall I test that? He stepped closer until their bodies almost touched, the air between them taut with heat. She didn't move back, but her hands curled tightly around the pitcher. The scent of her, jasmine and desert wind, wrapped around him like a chain. For one long moment, he let the silence stretch, his thumb brushing the corner of her mouth, as though daring her to deny what they both felt. Then she broke it. Stop it. This isn't acceptable. The words were soft, but they slammed into him like a blade. His eyes darkened. You think you can walk into my palace, into my chambers, touch me as you fancy, and then turn away? I think, she said, her voice steady but her hands trembling just slightly. I did what was needed. Her restraint, her refusal, ignited a storm in him. He let go of her chin, but not before leaning close enough for his breath to graze her ear. He'll regret it. She met his gaze for one last heartbeat, before slipping away into the shadowed corridors, leaving him with the taste of unfinished fire.